Question: how do you turn a fortress into a crater in 13 minutes? Start by turning off its eyes. Tonight, we break down Ukraine's decapitation doctrine that waited for a 2-hour radar maintenance window and then erased Tokmak's outer air defense shield before armor moved. If layered systems like TORM-2, Strela 10, and Shilka are built to stop everything, why did they collapse when it mattered? Stay, because the answer is a step-by-step playbook. RAM-2 and Warmate 2 drones first, guidance radars next, and a logistics hub that fed 4 brigades left silent. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. If Tor M2, Strela 10, and Shilka stitch a no-fly dome over Tokmak, why did a swarm of small drones slide through it like rain through chain link? The answer starts with how that dome actually works. Tokmak sat under a layered stack designed for short reaction fights. Tor M2s with quick-launch missiles hunting at short range, Strela 10s watching for low flyers, and Shilka guns ready to hose the last 2 to 3 kilometers with 23mm fire. Behind them, counter-battery radars, Zupark 1 and Podliot K1, hunted for launch points and cued artillery to smash anything that dared emit or move. The intent was simple: catch, track, hand off, kill. Zupark 1 is the Hinge. It costs about $24 million, but it buys speed. It reads artillery shells in flight, backtracks their origin, and feeds coordinates to guns and rockets. Killing it is hard because it lives with escorts, hides behind terrain, and when it emits, it is brief. Most attempts are noisy. Rockets, anti-radiation missiles, or heavy loitering munitions that announce themselves and invite the entire belt of guns to wake up. Miss and you waste a day. Hit and you slice the command loop that makes everything else lethal. The kill chain around Tokmak ran like a factory line. Sensors, thermal cameras, acoustic arrays, and spotters caught a flicker of movement. Radars snapped on to turn that flicker into a track. Launchers took the track and fired, while gunners set ambush lines at known approach corridors. Each link hardened the next. TOR's missiles cleaned the middle ranges. Strela 10 filled gaps from another angle. Shilka sat at the core, swatting what leaked through. And over all of it, counter-battery radars kept pressure on anything that dared shoot back. On paper, that looks airtight. In practice, small, slow, low drones are the hardest target to pull out of ground clutter and fog. Their radar cross-section is small, their speed is close to wind drift, and in wet air, the return looks like noise. Detection ranges shrink. Reaction times stretch. Operators hesitate to launch a missile that costs a car to kill a quadcopter that costs a scooter. Every second of hesitation widens the gap. Ukraine learned to pry at that seam. Documented hits on Zupark 1 and Podliot K1 forced Russian batteries to shoot blind, turning fast counterfires into late guesses. One strike by the Kryla unit reportedly erased a Zupark 1 with 4 long-range FPV drones, trading a handful of cheap airframes for a radar worth tens of millions. In Crimea, a night raid on a radar tied to an S-300 site shut the whole battery's guidance, making nearby airspace less hostile. Each of those hits did more than remove hardware. They broke the tempo that the layered stack needs to win. That's the price for effect asymmetry that keeps showing up. An FPV with a shaped charge or a loitering munition like a Warmate costs a fraction of a guided missile or a precision radar. Knock out one key emitter and the rest of the shield loses its cueing, which means the next wave of cheap drones gets a cleaner run. It's not magic. It's math. Then come the micro windows, maintenance cycles, generator swaps, sector scans that leave small gaps. Satellite passes and thermal drones have shown dips in coverage during weekly shutdowns, with readings dropping by nearly a third when crews bring systems down for service. Around Tokmak, generators powering the main radar grid reportedly went dark every Thursday from 3:30 to 5:30 a.m. That's a ghost corridor. It doesn't last long. Miss it, and defenders reset. Hit it, and the kill chain starts blind. So the core dilemma is clear. Penetration isn't brute force. It's timing. Remove the eyes, and the guns become guesswork. And once a 2-hour dip lined up over Tokmak, that quiet window turned from a risk to a trigger. The start of a raid built on silence. What do you do when you can't crack the shield? You make it blink. That's where this turns. Not with a bigger hammer, but with a quiet clock and a hard stop. Ukraine spent 93 days building that clock. Leo 100 reconnaissance drones orbited Tokmak night after night with thermal eyes that could read license plates from 5 miles out and see engine heat through concrete. They logged every floodlight that flicked on, each truck that rolled, and the exact minute guards swapped posts. Generators got special attention. When they coughed, when output dipped, when crews wheeled fuel drums across a lane, it went into the ledger. By week 6, there were sketches of routine. By week 13, there was a schedule. The pattern hit like a metronome. From 3:30 to 5:30 a.m. on Thursdays, the main radars dropped for maintenance. That 2-hour ghost corridor invited a raid, but it also set a trap. Miss the window and you fly straight into a waking belt of missiles and guns. Hit too early, and you announce yourself while the emitters still have a picture. Wait too long and the first sweep catches your wave and starts the handoff. So, the plan hinged on a minute. Drone crews rehearsed takeoff timings down to the second. Ground teams drilled routes to cross lines where cables drooped low and trees broke silhouettes. Every step was built to land right as the watch went dark. At 3:31 a.m., 6 Ram 2 loitering drones and 4 Warmate 2 strike UAVs came off the deck, already hugging 160 feet over fields and drainage lines. Fog pooled in the low ground and masked their heat. Power lines became lanes rather than obstacles, their hum folding into the noise floor that radars struggled to parse. The first wave didn't aim for launchers, it went for eyes. One Warmate 2 knifed into a TORM-2's radar dome and blew the antenna array clean, splashing fuel onto the service truck and lighting it. Another briefly lost guidance under jamming, then regained control through a Starlink uplink and shifted to a Panzer S-1 radar array. The hit ripped open nearby tanks and kicked a 70-foot fireball over the lot. Search beams blinked out. Intercepts slowed. The handoff got clumsy. Blinding didn't start at Tokmak, though. Pre-strikes on guidance radars like the Saki S-300 site widened the blind spot days earlier and stretched any backfill. When those nodes go dim, the network struggles to push a track across sectors, so a low flyer gets more seconds before anyone reacts. That lag stacks quickly when your first targets are the very emitters that would process the alert. ISR fed the whole thing in real time. Punisher-style UAVs rode outside the ring and streamed coordinates. When an emitter went quiet but not dead, artillery dialed in on the heat signature of the cooling fan. Missiles took the larger sheds where ammo cooked off in chain bursts. Crews used short calls and preloaded target packs to keep the tempo sharp. Each strike opened another lane. Electronic warfare pressed back, so the assault went multi-axis. Some drones ran hardened links. Others flew pre-planned routes that didn't need a handshake. Ground units pushed when nets clogged with false pings and overlapping alarms. Convoys froze at intersections they drove every day. Commanders asked for a picture and got noise. That was the cue. The breach team crossed as the outer eyes went quiet and the inner belt lost its cues. Why 93 days? Because schedules lie once or twice, but rhythms don't. The maintenance dip held steady, and the raid launched on the minute the radars powered down. That's doctrine at work. Blind the watch, overload the net, cut the links, then drive through before the reset. Tokmak fell in minutes because its eyes were shut for hours. That's the core of decapitation doctrine. Take down sensors and targeting nodes, and the rest turn slow, confused, and late. Cheap loitering munitions erased radars worth tens of millions, turning a fortified logistics hub into a pit of fire within 13 minutes. That cost gap isn't theory. It reshapes the fight.